Here on the Firearms Radio Network, presented by Patriot Patch Company, Camarado. And no, it's usually Nick. Nick hasn't figured out how to get a quiet keyboard in 7 years.
Well, I'm not even at my keyboard tonight.
That was me then.
I haven't typed anything.
It's Ken then.
You got to type more angry.
No.
Well, it doesn't help the software you're using doesn't have sensitivity adjustment on the mic.
Okay.
You don't know how to do that?
I can't. It doesn't. There's no option to adjust sensitivity on this.
On your microphone?
I might be able to on the base microphone, but not usually. I use the app to do it that I'm in. So,
because there's the ability to do that in the software.
So, anyways,
carrying on. So it looks like Rumble is a giant shit show as usual. See, I tried to. I tried to do what they say to do to set this up, and it doesn't appear to be working like they said it's supposed to. So we'll see. Maybe.
I'm gonna mute and step aside for just a sec to fix my lighting just a little bit, fix some shadows.
Okay. By the way, you should neaten up that power box a little bit. And we can't hear you because you muted.
Yeah, that's OSHA approved. Oh, that's right. Well, no, technically, yeah, OSHA still applies here because, rabbit hole.
Hey, how about that? It actually is working now. Okay, Rumble, I retract all my nasty statements. You're just really slow. So. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Cliff, you got to refresh Rumble. So basically, it doesn't when you do it through their studio like they want you to do, it doesn't show up until you literally go live. Unlike when I scheduled it previously. So if you refresh the feed on the Rumble Reloading Podcast homepage, it'll show up. So it's dumb. I'm going to ask them why it takes so damn long and there's such a delay. So anyway. You can go down there. And I am not going to stream it to Discord anymore because maybe one person tuned in. So
it's not really good to. It doesn't really work well watching it on the.
Well, the only way that everybody can hear me is if I literally stream this feed of the show. I can't stream the Rumble feed because then nobody can hear me, which, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, not hearing me isn't the worst thing in the world, but, So, hey, he's in. Hot damn. Excuse me. I felt better. All right, Paul, how you been? What you been up to?
Let's see. Day 12 with my formerly nicotine-stained fingers.
Awesome.
Okay.
Congrats on that. Very nice.
Yeah, taking a patch and a half, but we're doing it.
And congratulations, sir. It is probably one of the hardest things you'll ever do in life. Especially if it's because your doctor's telling you to and you really don't want to give them up.
Well, everybody's been telling me to give them up for
30 years.
Yeah, 30, 40 years. But
yeah,
it's my last habit. I mean, what the heck? My last vice.
Go back to scotch.
Yeah.
Trade it. Go back to scotch and give up the smokes. I think that sounds like a fair trade, don't you guys? Okay, we're in agreement.
I'm just trying to get him to spend less money on cigarettes so he can spend more money on matches.
Well,
right. Yep.
That's all I'm. I've been encouraging him to quit smoking just so he can spend more.
But if
money
he's
to go
not
to
smoking,
matches.
he doesn't need the matches.
Yeah, the matches don't give you a daily satisfaction, though.
Matches as in competition, you morons.
No, it's called smartass, not moron. That's the difference. Moron, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Smartass, you know what you're talking about, and you make a comment to make everybody think you don't know what you're talking about. Politicians. Oh, wait a minute. Those are just morons. Never mind.
Yeah, that's and reloading some for the next match for Saturday's match, and
okay,
that's about it. Helping take care of the grandson, and getting there. Just kind of relaxing.
Mm-hmm. Your secondary reloading room's coming along quite nicely there.
It's a little messy right now, but we're getting there.
Hey, Ken, that is one very sexy elbow.
Well, that's good, Mike. I'm glad you appreciate it. Just adjusting stuff.
So, is that a 550 behind you there, Paul?
Yes, it is. Yep. It's right now it's set up for pistol, but I also reload my precision rifle on it too. So it needs 2 tool heads to do it, but you can do it.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's been about what's going on, and I'll be shooting my first center fire match on Saturday, weather permitting, and so we're going to see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Remarkably, my hand loads are more accurate than my 22.
Not surprised. Even the most expensive 22 ammo still has horrible inconsistencies.
Yeah.
It's called the primer.
Yeah, I know, but it's still.
Don't get me started on primers, Mike.
We're just talking about 22 primers, not regular primers.
Oh, those count too. The rabbit hole tool works for that too.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know how you get it inside the case to check and see what the depth of the priming compound is without causing compression too. You'll have to show us that sometime.
Yeah,
you can reload 22.
You can go right here with the 20.
Well, you can reload 22. I'm just talking about using the rabbit hole precision inside the case.
No, we just measure rim thickness with it. That's all.
Well, you can you can hand load 22. I've got all the stuff to do it. I just haven't dove into that. All right, fine. I'll say it. I haven't gone down that rabbit hole.
I have loaded over 400 rounds.
I've got the, I forget what's it called.
22 LR.
No. The
or do
name
you have
of
the?
You have the
one
cutting edge?
from Cutting Edge.
Yeah, Cutting Edge. That's it.
Okay.
The problem is you need the right barrel to stabilize those monolithics.
Mm-hmm. If you don't have a 1 in 10 twist, forget about it.
Right. Your typical 1 in 16 is not conducive for those monolithic. Yeah, the cutting edge or any of them.
What do you got there, Ken?
Cutting edge monolithic bullets.
Oh yeah.
These are 7mm. You're not gonna probably,
Yeah.
168 grain. Try shoving them out of a 22 case.
Don't tempt me with it.
What's MTH?
It's their
Monolithic
match tactical hunting
Oh,
kind of.
okay.
Excuse me.
Multi-purpose, precision kind of bullet.
Well, I mean, they don't really. Honestly, they don't differentiate between the match and the. I mean, there are some of them that are different, but in this grain weight, they didn't have a different option.
Okay.
I think with their match, they've got like the 180s are match specific, but
maybe just
Ken,
a little
put that back up.
So maybe slightly better BCs on the strictly match.
honestly, when I was talking with them, they said there really isn't a difference. The question is how well it opens up. Is it designed? Because I mean, with what makes the monolithics great is they're tipped and pointed basically because they're milled on a CNC lathe.
Right.
So everything is as uniform as you're reasonably going to get it.
Yeah.
You might have variances from batch to batch, or as the lathe starts to maybe dull a little bit, you might get some variance there. But I mean, if you're loading, if you're grabbing a lot, you're not going to see from the first to the last out of that. You're not going to see much variation in the bullet, and it's going to be less than probably what you're going to see even on a tipped and pointed bullet. So that's the appeal of the monolithics is you can get that ultra uniform BC. It's not even necessarily higher; it's just more uniform, right? Now the monolithics tend to have a higher rated BC. Now whether or not that actually holds true, because as we know, all the manufacturers talk out their ass when it comes to BC. It's a good general number, but if you actually get out and shoot it, you're going to find that BC is not very accurate. In general, you're going to be quite a bit of difference between what you're getting in performance downrange and what the BC originally says. So, and most of them overstate the BC.
Some companies are better than others. I mean,
True.
If you want somebody that's really off the wall, talk to Nosler. Their BCs are just, that's a hope and a prayer. Sierra
I mean,
2 BCs.
Yeah. Burger's probably, I think, one of the better as far as being consistent with their number, but it's still not. I mean, real world versus what that number is on their website or on the box is going to be different. It's just a fact, and they use a generalized. It's a generalized BC that's overall for that given thing. But the BC changes from lot to lot. I mean, there's and it can change from bullet to bullet because that's the nature of the beast. Because
that's why we have ballistic programs that allow us to adjust the BC so we know where we're at.
Yeah. That allows you to do that. And I did recently watch a really cool video from MDT about finding your true BC, and they use 2 Garmins, one at the muzzle and one downrange. Now, here's the one thing you need to be aware of when you're using that second Garmin. You're putting a bullet within about a foot of that Garmin at 400 to 500 yards. So you better be confident at what you're doing before you set that Garmin up, because you very well might shoot your Garmin.
You just put steel in front of it.
You better just use Athlon. That way it's $200 cheaper.
And you get better results.
Yeah.
We won't argue that.
No, I still have to get out and do a serious test on it, but now the weather's getting better, and I'm going to get my Waterloo membership renewed, so I don't have people bothering you while I'm trying to do it. That's going to get done in the next couple of weeks. So, on a serious, I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, just put steel in front of it.
You could,
So
especially if you have your own AR 500 steel.
The idea is so you don't smack it completely, okay?
Yeah. If you got a small plate, you can hang. If you got the stand, shove it in the ground.
You could put a steel plate out there. You could put a thick chunk of plywood. You could put a couple of 2x4s, anything. The idea is so that the projectile either deflects or stops completely if it's going to hit the chronograph that's downrange.
Concrete
that's
barrier.
Yeah, you're just creating a barrier.
Yeah,
because it's not going to affect.
We'll get the skid loader out. We'll haul the concrete barrier down there so we can put your garment behind it.
Nope.
Well, the problem is you may want to be able to see your screen, because when you use the download mode on it, it flashes that it caught the thing, and it'll tell you when it's ready for the next round. So,
Mike, I'm all about excessive.
I know you are, and that's why we love you.
I'd say find the MTD or MTD, MTD video if you're going to try it, and watch what they did. They'll coach you through it. I mean, as long as you're fairly confident you can put it within a foot without hitting the thing, you should be fine.
Yeah. So, Nick, what you been up to?
Not a lot. Been to a rough start to the week. I got email Sunday that the video for the EP annealer got taken down for some stupid reason. Peeled it, and they still said it was against policy, but whatever.
Oh, on YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube.
Yeah, because anything to do with making your own ammunition violates TOS, which is why I'm working on pulling everything off of YouTube, making sure it's on Rumble, and then just letting YouTube sit. As of June 1st, I will not be broadcasting to YouTube anymore.
Gotcha. But and then last week, I think last Monday, I won a auction that had 18 Lee 4-hole turrets. Got them for, I think, shipped to the house. It was like $62.
Nice.
So that was a heck of a good price. Half of them are brand new in the box. The other half are super lightly used. So I'll be able to get all my dice set up, which would be nice. It'll be so interchangeability will be a lot easier. So, but other than that, that's really been about it on my side.
So I got a heck of a deal. Palmetto State Armory. This was a whole $1 or a whole $150. I don't know when I put it on yet, but the nice thing is, when you do the pay over a couple of months, it's affordable. So, how tonight's show topic came about is one of our listeners, Dan, sent me a couple questions. Actually, he sent me a good idea for a show question, and he sent it to me on Sunday, which was after or before I got Ken's suggestion. But Ken, we're going to do that, and we're going to name it that too.
Well, I thought we were actually going to do the.
Originally, I was going to do the mantis stuff, but once we got a regular question, then I scrapped it for now. So because I didn't have time to clean up the shit show behind me to actually be able to set up properly. So
I'd say let's just hold that off until we get to we're no longer on YouTube, and we'll just do it right.
True. Good point. So yeah, we'll pencil the Mantis show off and showdown for the first show in June. We'll get serious, and I can use my iPad or I can use my iPhone as a camera. And then what I can also do is I can set up some other stuff, and so we have more. But So Dan sent me a message. He said, "Good idea for show question. I've been having a heck of a time getting the proper neck tension with bushings on my third on my third bushing." So Paul,
bushing
I know
or
that,
mandrel?
so that's what started off.
So
And
Mike,
so
I want to throw something in addition to the mantis, which is kind of, it's not a mantis by any means, but it's another dry fire practice that's worth mentioning that
cool shot.
SG Pulse,
Okay.
which I do have. I have the device that goes on the gun, and then I also have the timer device that you carry on your person. And they communicate to each other. Having both allows you to do a little bit more than just having the device that goes on the gun that kind of measures. Basically, it shows you can use it to say if you're shooting a rifle.
Well, I'll have you save this for the show. So because
Sure,
we'll go in depth on all that stuff then. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so my first question to him was, when did you anneal the brass last? The answer was, he's only fire formed it, hasn't annealed it.
So fired then.
Yeah. So, well, I didn't. That's the one thing, is I never asked him if it was once fired. Okay. So then I shot him off a bunch of questions. The only one he didn't answer was the credit card number, expiration date, and CVC. I'm kind of bummed about that.
Yeah.
7 PRC, Alpha Brass, Redding bushing dies, SAC bushings, Sinclair mandrel, Burger bullets. Measuring case diameter at the mouth and subtract 2/1000 for tension. Tried a 310, and then when seating the bullet, it went straight in and rested on the powder. He's got a 308 bushing, but he hasn't tried it yet.
What you said? It's a 7. What cartridge is it? I guess it doesn't matter.
7 PRC.
7 PRC.
Yeah.
Okay, not PRCW, the regular 7 PRC.
Correct.
Okay.
So when I'm talking,
and you said he's using what Redding die?
He said Redding bushing dies, and then
Bushing
he said
dies.
SAC.
Okay, so competition.
He said, SAC. So what is that?
Short action custom.
Yeah.
He's
so
using
short action custom bushings, Sinclair mandrel, and then it's Burger bullets.
Oh, he's okay. All right. Yeah. All right. I get it. Yeah. Because the SAC bushings are a little better than the Redding bushings, which I've done that. You can put a SAC bushing in a Redding die.
Right.
Okay.
And so he's got a Sinclair mandrel. So none of this stuff's garbage.
Right.
So that was kind of the nice thing to find out, is now we can deal with the issue and not the equipment he's using.
Yeah. And what does he have for an annealer, or does he?
I don't know if he has an annealer. He didn't anneal. So that was the first thing I told him. I said, well, that's your first step.
Well, except for it, I mean, it could help in this, but I mean, this is once fire. So this is fire formed. Now, are we talking on after his fire formed load? He's having the issue. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
After
So fire formed it.
He can't get it to keep tension.
Being alpha brass, I don't know if you're. I mean, I would recommend annealing even after the fire forming, just because if you're going to anneal, just do it every time.
Right.
But I don't think that him not annealing it is going to explain his overall issue. It could add, right? Precision loading is about stacking tolerances and eliminating them. I would say it could add, but I would not expect it to be the primary reason why he's having problems with neck tension.
Right. So his issue is pretty extreme. It's not that the tension's too light. It's just that it ain't sizing enough to hold the bullet. That's what I gather from what you're saying. Yeah. It just basically falls in.
Yeah.
So that's not
my question would be, did he neck turn the brass after it was fire formed? Because that would explain if he didn't do the math right. Because when you neck turn, now your neck walls are thinner. Now you have to size it even smaller to get the ID. You have to size the OD even smaller to bring the ID back to, within spec, because now you've because you're sizing from the outside of the neck, you're squeezing it in. And if the neck walls are thinner than they originally were, then you have to squeeze it even smaller to get the same ID.
Well, if he's using a 308,
no, he used the 310. He hasn't used the
310,
308
okay.
yet.
All right. So
7 mil bullets, 284. If
Right.
his brass is, let's just say 16 thousandths neck wall thickness, that's 32 across both sides. 284 and 32. I don't know, it'd be 286 plus 30, so that'd be 316.
he should have plenty of tension.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Right. Now, if he doesn't have tension, then there's something wrong with the way it's getting sized. You know, and or it's just too thin. He's turned the necks and they're too thin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even, you know, but, and, you know, you're talking 10, you know, 10, 10, 11, 10, you know, 10, okay. Correct me if I'm wrong here, or get me right there, Justin. 0.010 per side.
Yeah, down to 10,000. Yeah.
Down to 10,000. Okay.
That's as far as you're going to go.
Right. And that's that way the 284 bullet would fall through.
Yeah. So yeah, if you turn it down to 10,
Right.
I would bring your neck to 304. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's without neck tension. That's just sizing it down to the same size as the bullet.
Right.
And not even accounting for spring back, which you got to go a little bit smaller to account at least 1,000 spring back. So yeah, 304. If he's using a 310, yeah, the bullet would just fall in, even a 308.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, you know, yeah, if you shade it down to 10,000, 304 is going to give you basically zero neck tension, but it's like a precision fit without actually, you know, holding it.
Yeah, he's, you know,
I mean, there's no bullet pull.
He'd be better off if he was to get a full length sizing die, remove the expander in there, size it, and put a mandrel through it. That way he can get it to where it should be. Okay.
What size mandrel did he say he was using?
He's not using a mandrel. He's using a bushing. And
No, he said he had Sinclair mandrel.
Yeah, he said a Sinclair mandrel, but he didn't say what size.
Yeah.
So I tried to ask as many questions. He's at work and he doesn't get reception where he's at. So I tried to get as many questions as I could think of. But as we all know, I don't do this, so I don't know all the ins and outs. At some point in time, I probably will. If I ever get a firearm that's, you know, I'd be serious about doing with, but so so we're kind of handicapped in our troubleshooting, but at the same time, it sounds like it took you guys all of about 3 minutes to figure out one of the big issues on why it was falling through. Now, say he didn't turn the neck, or he turned the neck before fire forming it.
Yeah, we don't know if this is factory ammo or if he loaded it virgin.
Well, it's alpha.
With everything that
Alpha
he
brass.
has, I would expect that he
fire formed it. So
yeah,
but I don't know if we turned it. So let's suppose, for the sake of conversation, he turned it. He bought brand new alpha brass, and then he turned the necks before he fire formed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would that affect?
It wouldn't have a difference on the first loading versus the second if he neck turned them out of the box brand new.
Okay.
Because
so if he
once
neck turned
they're
them out of the
turned, you
box,
have to, once you take them out of the box and turn them, you have to resize the neck.
and fire forming it would do that, essentially.
Well, the resizing would
Not correct size, but it's gonna adjust the sizing to give him a different starting point.
yeah. We also don't know if he has a turn versus no turn chamber, or is this like a factory barrel? Is it a custom barrel? You know,
Yeah.
because if it's a turn chamber, then that's one of those situations where you have to turn the brass brand new out of the box. So you don't have a choice to turn it after it's fire form versus virgin,
because it won't fit.
And in my personal, it's better to neck turn fire form brass than it is virgin brass. The brass is more true coming out of the chamber than it is out of the box brand new. All those little dingers are gone from shipping, and if your chamber's not straight, well, that's a whole nother thing, because then you're forming brass into a state that's not straight. But let's not go down that road. But let's just assuming that his chamber is straight. If you're gonna fire form, if you're gonna turn after fire forming, everything is a little more true than it is out of the box from the factory. But if you have a turn chamber, then you don't have a choice. Like most of mine, I don't have a choice. I have to turn them before I can fire them. Sorry, kids are peeking in, asking how it's going.
Oh, they can join. That's up to you, but I don't have a problem with popping
if you want,
high.
Hunter, if you want to come and wave, you can come wave real quick. You can say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Hunter.
Hey.
Hunter, I thought you were supposed to be doing brass prep.
Yeah, see, this is Mike. That's Ken. Paul, my friend Paul, he's over there on his reloading bench. There he is, waving back. You hear me talk.
I think Nick went out for coffee.
Yeah.
Looks like Dad needs to get you a shirt that's the right size.
I'll be here for a while yet, buddy. Okay.
For an hour and a half.
Yes, about exactly that.
Yeah, not quite that long. We'll be off by 8:30 at the latest.
Okay. I just always expect 9 o'clock. So.
No, yeah, I know. One of my life goals is to try and get this podcast to an hour and a half.
Okay.
But I know, there are certain topics like this one where we'll be able to cover most, and we're not going to go into anything else.
Yeah.
He did not.
A little long-winded sometimes.
This topic requires it. He did not turn it down.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Paul?
So basically, I think
Well,
kind of following along, what we've decided is that he needs to full length size it.
without with a full length sizing die, no expander plug.
We're not setting neck tension with it, but we're going to do a full length sizing to make sure we get the case down small enough. Then we're going to use a mandrel to expand it. Now we're at the stage we're using the mandrel, right? So we full length size. We're going to use a mandrel. Where should he start for size of mandrel, and should he run it more than once?
It depends on the ID of the neck and how much neck tension he wants. I would recommend 3,000 neck tension as a starting point.
Okay.
Yeah, 3,000 is good. I would double check and double check his bullets at the same time to so he knows where they're at. They're all supposed to be at 284. We all know that. Put a
burger bullets. Those things are perfect every time, right?
Yeah, right.
No, I thought that was Hornaday.
No, Hornady's extra perfect every time.
This would be one of those times where I'd like him to run a piece of brass through his, as everything is set up, run that piece of brass through his press, take it off take a caliper or whatever. I don't care. Just measure the OD of the neck and tell me what it is, and then measure the ID of the neck. You can get both of them with a caliper within about a thou. I mean, at
Right.
least close enough to at least get them in the ballpark. Do we know that the neck is the bushing even sizing the neck?
Mandrel was 282.
It doesn't sound like the bushing's even sizing the neck. I mean, it could be a mismarked bushing, or I don't know.
Yeah, he's running a 282. I want to know what the bullet is. I'm sorry. I want to know what the bullet is. That's the point of contention that I have, because if
You're talking about the grain weight on the bullet?
No, the diameter of the bullet.
It should be 284, right? We're talking 7 millimeters.
That is 284. The box says 284. Does that mean that's what it is?
No, the bullet's going to be anywhere from 284 to 284 and a half.
You
should
sure?
be.
You should be. That's the question that I have. Should be.
That's the get. Should be.
Should
But
be.
you said he's using Burger bullets, and you said he's using Burger bullets though, and I know Burger bullets are within that. Let's just say 282 or 284.2, give or take 0.2. I mean, it's going to be within plus or minus a quarter of a thou. I've gone through Burger bullets and measured them, and generally in 7 millimeter in particular, the 7 millimeter 284s, they're usually right around 284.2.
Doesn't mean
actually no, they're a little higher. No, they're closer to 284.4. I had some custom ones that were closer to 284, like 284 to 284.2, that I measured on some custom ones. But the burgers were a little bit thicker, and it made sense too, because once I started doing hand loads with those, the muzzle velocity increased a little bit. It's the same weight bullet, but with that bullet being a little bit bigger, as a little more restriction going down the barrel, it's going to create a little more pressure and hence a little more muzzle velocity. Another 50 feet, maybe 100. That's what I found going from a custom to Burger.
Okay, but I'm still saying, if he's sitting there watching a 284 bullet going down, and he just ran a 282 mandrel down it.
A 282 mandrel. Okay. Well, we don't know if the 282 mandrel even touched the casing, if it even did anything. He might have just ran it and it didn't do anything. Hey, no.
Well,
okay, so basically the process, if I'm understanding it correctly,
because it sounds like the ID of his neck is about the size of the bullet. 284,
which means you should have good neck tension.
No, you would be able to push the bullet in with your thumb. There'd be just a little bit of drag.
You need it smaller. Never mind. Okay. So basically the idea, the process, because I've never used bushings and mandrels. So basically, is it you use the bushing first and then you put the mandrel in second? Is that how this works?
Yeah.
As opposed to like when you're doing a full length, where you've got the expander ball in, you shove the brass up, it shrinks the whole thing down, and then as you pull it down, the expander ball pushes it back out. So basically, you're doing two separate steps. Well, I mean, even when you use a full length, you're doing two separate steps, but it's in the same motion. But what you're saying is you use the bushing die to shrink the neck first, and then you use the mandrel to expand it out to where it's supposed to be.
Right. Okay. Within a controlled amount. So that way you're not overworking the brass.
Right. It's not a case of
the idea of the mandrel is of why do that versus.
Hey, Ray.
And this is a common debate. If let's just say you have a bushing die, and okay, well, I just choose the right size bushing to get the ID that I want. So why use a mandrel? So the idea of why use a mandrel is not so much to control the size of the neck. I mean, partially it is, but it's when you size from the outside, you're pushing the imperfections to the inside of the neck. Mm-hmm. So the outside is going to be nice and perfect, and whatever is imperfect gets pushed to the inside where the bullet gets held. You don't want that. The inside of the neck is more important than the outside of the neck.
Right.
So by running the mandrel through, now you're pushing those imperfections back to the outside with minimal expansion.
See, I know why Nick's having a bad week because Grandpa's got the puppy.
No, it's not that.
By the way, Ray, I'm sorry if you were sitting there waiting for a long time.
That's all right. You
Next
guys
time,
are on a
just text
roll.
me.
Nope, that's fine.
I got somebody else that apparently wants to say hi on the show.
Certainly.
Come here. And then you go with your brother. Come here. All right. There. See everybody? See Daddy right here? So they're all waving. Say hi. Wave. Wave your hand. Say hi.
Hi.
Tell your dad you want a new gun.
She has a new gun. She's just not old enough to shoot it yet. She has a little. She's got a little 22 cricket. Yeah. All right. Can you go up with your brother now?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, in Texas, our kid is shooting deer at 3 years old, so I don't know what you're talking about. Kids ain't old enough.
The correct age to get a kid out to the range and shooting is the correct age that they can hold the gun with a reasonable amount and be able to tell you the 4 rules of firearm safety.
Exactly.
And at that point, you know, supervised is shooting is good.
Which should be about 6 years old.
You know, as for the topic here, I don't know. Is there anything really left to add? I mean, I think we pretty much covered.
I think it's no glue. So, yeah, I mean, basically, he needs to go back and check his math. Is what I'm getting out of this.
Tell him check his box of bullets. I don't know. Maybe he bought them secondhand, and somebody put 6 5s in a box of 7. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. No. He was able to answer the one. And so I sent him some stuff, and he's going to watch this later this week. So,
yeah, I mean, the easiest way to know is just pick up a pair of calipers. I would assume with what he has, he would have calipers.
He does.
Just measure the diameter of the bullet. I mean, it's no precision measurement, but it's at least you'll know if it's a 7mm bullet.
And kids, when you're measuring bullets.
But I would think if he was shooting 6 5s out of that, he'd have known it when he fire formed them.
Right. Well, what I was going to do, and I don't have one laying around, I don't think. Maybe I do somewhere. I don't know. You would think, with all the crap I have laying around here, I would have a freaking rifle projectile laying around. But no. Anyway.
I have the opposite problem.
Could he be shooting? Could it have been a 270 bullet?
Yeah, it could have been,
Because it's still quite a ways off, right? I mean, 277 versus a 284, but it's a lot closer.
You got 280 bullets too. I don't know. I don't even know what those are. What they measure up to. I don't know. I've never shot one.
So I'm assuming 280 or 281 probably, or 280 and a half or something like that. But
yeah.
Okay, so when you're measuring a bullet, gang, where am I? There we go. I know I don't have my calipers on. No, I don't care. When you're measuring a bullet, what you want to do is you want to get the most bearing surface you possibly can to be the most consistent. Now, obviously, I'm lucky on this because of the overall design of the bullet, and the bearing surface allows me to be able to get quite a bit on here. Some bullets you're not going to get that option. So you have to kind of take 3-4 different measurements to get.
I prefer to have that projectile turn 90 degrees from the way you have it, so that way you can't be off center.
So you're saying like this?
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So understandable. But see, I'm not taking one measurement. I'm going to do it more than just that one direction. I'm going to do it both directions, and one direction sucks.
It doesn't hurt to spin it too, because they can be out of round.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm going to do it more than one way. I'm not going to trust that I can do that and have it be on center. Now, if I do it the way I just did it, there's a pretty good chance.
Yes.
However, I don't trust. I verify. So
Okay, Reagan.
I was waiting for somebody to acknowledge that.
Don't Mike, don't make me and Paul get out the blade mics here.
Look, fancy pants. I have figured out I am so poor right now, I can't even buy Lee reloading equipment. All right.
Hey, you know what? These things just went up in price. These are almost $600 now.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm glad I bought mine when I did.
You know. So yeah, you know, you wanna, you know, put a bullet in and do it, fine, you know, but
I mean, you could use a comparator too to do it if you really wanted to, or you could use other tools. I'm showing out how to do it with your basic caliper.
You could do it with CMM.
Yeah.
If you have access to one. I don't think I'd go through the efforts, but
no. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could get a hold of a 3D laser scanner and, you know, have it scanned in, and it'll give you the exact minute measurements around the entire projectile. I'm not spending that much time doing it, nor do I know somebody who has one handy. So there you go. That's why
those are so expensive. Justin wouldn't buy one.
I know, right? I found something Justin's not going to buy for once. But God, it'd be fun to have one. I would make so much shit. It's not even funny. But yeah, no, I've officially determined that I am so poor I can't even buy Lee reloading equipment right now. That's how bad off I am. So
Nick's over there with his new Lee equipment going, I can afford it.
I'd just take the season off. I'll wait till next year if I had to.
So he got a chance to respond. He says he's assuming the bushings were made right, and the bullets are Bergara, or the rifle is a Bergara B14 7 PRC. So it's not going to be
okay.
It's an off-the-shelf rifle, so it's not one where you're going to have to turn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a precision production rifle.
Exactly. One of the better ones if you're looking at it, especially for the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because you can pick up one of those for, if you do your shopping right, you can pick up one of those for right around $1,000. Now, that's if you do shopping right. Usually they're, depending on what options and stuff you want them, usually they're about 50. And then their top end on the B14 series, I want to say, is 2,400 right now. But
they're not a cheap, off the shelf.
No, they're not.
Even
though the prices aren't like some of your fancier rifles, they're a great out of the box rifle. If you want to jump into your 1,000-yard, or you want to jump into the F class and stuff like that, and you don't want to spend Justin money on a rifle, but you want to go out and have some fun, that's a great rifle to do it. And then you've got $3,000 or $4,000 laying around to buy on an optic. So
it's about the right amount of money to have for an optic.
Absolutely. If you're gonna, if you're deer hunting, it's
$500 deer hunting. Midwest deer hunting, $500 is a pretty good option.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're deer hunting if you're buying a brand new rifle and you're planning on just Midwest whitetail, you should be spending dollar for dollar for your rifle.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, no, I would disagree with that. I would say 50 to 75 cents, because you can get a really good optic for Midwest deer hunting for $300, $400, $500, right?
Right. Well,
most of your rifles right now decent rifles are starting, and we're, you might be able to get cheaper, right? The Cabela's $350.
You can take one of those Savage Axis and they will shoot, even with factory ammo, that is all you need for Midwest whitetail.
Yeah.
Even if you're shooting out to 400 yards with a 308. Because the barrel and the bolt and everything on there, actually, they just improved the stock. So now the stock's more of a pistol grip stock, so it's even better. But I had one of my customers, he bought it on one of the Black Friday specials, and we were talking about it, and he says, I'm just torn. I bought it because I wanted something for my kid, but I think it's going to shoot like shit. I went and bought a box of Federal Fusion, the blue box, and off we went. And at 100 yards, I put 5 shots in an 1.5 inches without a rest of any sort. So, but I'm not buying a Savage Axis. I'm buying a Ruger American.
Actually, if I'm going with a new deer rifle,
CVA first. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, what?
CVA.
I don't know who CVA.
Oh, they're center fires.
Yep.
I don't know. They've had too many. Had too many problems over the years with those stuff.
Ruger Americans. I'm sitting there looking at the Tupperware stock.
But see, you hate Tupperware stocks. The thing is, with that setup, you're not going to have it pushing on the barrel. You're not going to have it screwing with things. It's an out of the box hunting rifle for anybody that's just hunting, not anybody that has any friggin' clue about precision rifles. So, I mean, that's the thing you have to look at.
Okay, so you're looking at a $500 rifle, right?
Yep.
And then you're going to look at a $500 scope, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Because all you care about is shooting whitetails.
Right.
And you don't want to go, you don't want to know what we know. Because you don't care about it. You're going to be that guy that goes up.
99% of the hunters that are out there are happy with a rifle that shoots, that they get to shoot 1 inch, okay?
Yep. And it sits in the gun cabinet for 11 and a half months out of the year.
Right. And they pull out another box of factory ammunition and they go out and do their thing. And yes, Federal Fusion, you'd be surprised how good it is.
They actually are. Well, that's why I said I grabbed Fusion and not Winchester White Box.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And yeah, I just sit down and say, yeah, okay, fine. It's not me. I'm not buying
No, absolutely not. You're not. None of us here are. Nick might. He has these moments of weakness where. I'm kidding, Nick.
I got a Bergara and I love mine.
Oh, they're absolutely fantastic.
So yeah, I would if I were to buy a new hunting rifle in general, where I'm not doing anything.
I'm buying a
over
Tikka.
the top. I'm buying a Tikka or a Bergara, which by the way, I'm pretty sure they're the same thing.
Well, one's Finnish, one's Spanish.
Yeah. Well, who owns Tikka then? I thought it was Bergara for some reason.
No, Beretta.
Oh no, it's Seiko.
Beretta, no. Seiko was sold to Beretta. Beretta now owns Seiko and Tikka.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
I think
still manufactured in Sweden. And if I could get my hands on a cheap Seiko, that would be or Finland, excuse me. I would get my hands on a Seiko any day of the week.
Actually, even the brand new S20s are still Seiko quality, but
Yeah.
they've got this temporary.
How is another good? You're looking for a reasonably priced factory out.
How a 1500 away you go.
Yep.
How I used to make the Vanguard for Weatherby, but then they had a falling out. I don't know who's making the Vanguards anymore, but for many, many, many years, the Howa 1500 is the Weatherby Vanguard. So
I look at it. Henry from 9-Hole Reviews is putting a video out next week on Bagara B14, where he takes the burst action, puts it in a KRG chassis, but he's hitting 1,000 yards all day.
Yeah,
and he does it in under 20 shots, which is pretty incredible.
Now, is that including? Is that from the moment he drops it in that chassis and then puts an optic on it, or does he take the time to sight the optic in first?
I would assume sight the optic in.
Okay.
And if you know what you're doing, actually, that's not
1,000 yards under 20 shots. Because if you turn around and give me the broadside of a barn and it takes me 20 shots to hit it at 1,000 yards, I'm having a bad day or something's wrong.
No, he's shooting it. Looks like his 1,000-yard target is a probably 18-inch by 18-inch square.
Yeah, and he also sits down and he starts out at 100 yards.
Yep.
And works out to 1,000.
He's cheating.
Yeah.
He's just shy of 2 minutes at $1,000.
Right.
Yeah, which is a good size. That's a good size. Just hey, you want to 20 shots. You're shooting like on steel. You're not using a digital thing where you're just And if he's walking it out, then it's pretty easy to walk it out because you're just making minor adjustments.
That counts as his 20 shots as he's walking it out. In other words, he's got and it's 2 shots on target. Two has to be 2 hits on target. 9-Hole Review is a pretty interesting.
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying that it's not as impressive as it seems. Now, if he takes a rifle and he drops it the chassis, and I'll even give him sighting in it 100 yards, and he goes from 100 to 1,000 straight, and then hits the target in 20.
He hits every target twice, from 100 to 1,000.
Right.
Twice.
If he jumps straight from 100 to 1,000, now I'm impressed.
Even at 20 shots, I think that's more shots than he probably needs to hit.
That's what you have to do.
I could do that.
That's what you have to be able to do in F class, is to be able to go straight from 100 to $1,000.
Right.
But all those F class guys have their
basically in a single scope adjustment, you should be on target.
Yeah, but all those guys that are shooting F class, that are shooting multiple ranges, know exactly. They're not just using they're using their kestrels to factor in wind conditions, but they already know they can probably be within a couple of clicks on their scope at a distance because they've already tested it all those distance. They know they've got dope.
Their dope is pretty well set.
Well, he shoots on the same range in every video, so his dope he could probably take it to 24.
Oh yeah, then I'm definitely not impressed.
First off, it's a KD range, okay? Yeah. So you're a known distance, so everything should work on his ballistic computer as he works it through after he's worked up his velocity and everything else, right?
Right.
No.
No.
Your kestrel. If you take a kestrel, you go out, you shoot it, you zero it 100 yards, get your kestrel, you turn around and you plug that information into the kestrel at 500 yards, your kestrel's data is going to be off because you haven't fully set up the kestrel. Now, if you've gone through and shot at 500 yards, given the weather conditions to the kestrel and then adjusted the ballistic coefficient in the kestrel, then yes, mostly.
Well, I have found that using my ballistic program that I've had for a long time, if I know what my velocity is and have a good BC number, I can go out to 500 or 600 yards on a prairie dog And yeah, okay, he's a little bit smaller than a 18 by 24-inch target, but I'm pretty much knowing that I'm going to get at least throw some dirt on him at 600 yards. With,
Yeah.
So give me an 18 by 24-inch target, and I think I could take at least three of the gentlemen here, probably all of you, and you'd be on target at 5.
I would give you that a 2 MOA target at a given distance, the Kestrel's probably accurate on.
Yeah,
I would grant that.
Yeah.
And 18.
So here's the thing: shooting 1,000 yards used to be impressive.
It still can be.
It can be, but it's impressive for somebody that's never done it or never taken the time to. And I mean, you could take somebody that has only ever shot 100 yards, right? And you give them, they take the time to watch enough YouTube videos and do some reading. You know what? If they actually put the effort in and understand, and they've got a reasonable rifle, a good $500-600 rifle with a good $500-600 optic, right? That they didn't go buy the cheapest optic they can, and even with the cheapest optic, they probably could, possibly do it as long as the optic, there's no defect in the optic. Hitting a 2 MOA target at 1,000 yards in 20 shots, going from a 100-yard zero, and just not walking your way out. By the way, if you've got the opportunity to walk your way out to get your dope, you want all that data. Take it, right? I just was, when I asked questions about what he was doing, was I wanted, because Nick said, oh, it's under 20 shots. And I'm like, well, that to me, that's going to be a little dependent on conditions. So I'm like, if he's trying to hit a bar, like I said, a side of a barn at 1,000 yards, that's not all that impressive, right? I mean, getting a F class, getting on paper with an F class target, right, isn't hard to do at 1,000 yards. Now, getting it into the X ring at 1,000 yards, that's difficult, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that's why I asked that. But, I don't blame him. I'm not going to knock him for taking and going, okay, I've zeroed at 100. Now I'm going to take it to 200, 250, 350, all the way out to 1,000. I mean, I'm sitting there if I'm got that option, I'm sitting there with a piece of paper and I'm going, all right, I dialed this. I'm writing all this down. I'm plugging the data into my Kestrel, to true my true ballistics. I mean, like I was mentioning earlier, take that Garmin, set it out there and shoot a bullet past it and get your true BC. I mean, within 5 shots, you've got a 99% accurate BC versus a 90% accurate BC, which in most cases, 90% is probably more than good enough for 99% of all applications. But, you got the better the data, the better the output, right? So, but back in the 1980s, the 90s, probably the early 2000s, the ability to reasonably hit 1,000 yards within like a 2 MOA target at 1,000 yards, under 20 shots, probably pretty impressive, right? And it wasn't necessarily that the guns couldn't do it. It was probably had more to do with the optics weren't as good, right? Because some of those old guns could shoot, right?
I have to disagree because I'm looking at in the 60s and that we still had Wimbledon and the national matches at Camp Perry and the President's 1000 and all that.
Yeah, but those guys shooting those matches were the exception to the rule, not the rule.
But there were a lot of civilians that were shooting that. Okay.
No. But there's still a lot. The ability for somebody who has never shot before and go out to 1,000 yards simply by reading and accessing data online, going to Cabela's, buying a $500 rifle, buying a $500 scope, and being able to hit 1,000 yards is 1,000% easier to do now than it was 20, 30 years ago, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying it couldn't be done. I'm not saying that, but the fact that I can get a ballistic calculator on my phone for free that's going to get me within with a 4 MOA target at 1,000 yards with the first clicks, right? From going from 100 yards to, how many guys had access to ballistic calculators in the 90s? They were all doing that with if they had a ballistic calculator, it was literally a calculator that had the ballistic software in it. It
was a ballistic calculator that was not a phone. We didn't have phones. We had ballistic calculators that they were the TRWs that we used. And I'm looking at these guys that were shooting this stuff back in the 60s, and that there was a lot of them were shooting iron sights. Okay, Palma shooters were shooting iron sights at 1,000 yards.
Paul, was the Kestrel the oldest one? Are they the first? It goes beyond when I got started, so I don't know.
No, the first ones were that picked up a ballistic app was Kestrel, okay? Yeah. But the we had the TRW
that's Texas Instruments.
The Texas Instruments calculators that were set up with formulas where you would sit down and plug it in and go from there. Okay. Rangefinders
saved you from doing it by paper.
Our idea of a rangefinder out in the field in those days was a World War II kilometer, okay, where it was 6 foot wide, and you had 2 mirrors you adjusted to line up the crosshairs. When they superimposed on each other, you could read the yardage. Nowadays we have laser rangefinders that are good 6,000 yards, 10,000 yards.
Well, and the fact that the scopes are now set up that if you know what you're doing, you can range a target with your scope just by using the mill or the MOA.
We learned to do that, but it was the Marine Corps were big into that, to learning how to do that with their scopes, but trying to teach the Army to do something like that was pretty hard. But as I look at it and I see the progression of scopes and everything else that we went through from the 50s and 60s to what we have nowadays, oh man, what an improvement. Before it used to have to sit down and push the scope forward, and it would get it set up. It was external adjustments. In other words, you actually move the tube instead of the crosshairs inside of it, and
the old Lymans and Unerdals.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, that goes back to my point is more, it was the difference of the ability to do it and the information that you need to be able to do it is readily, right? Is readily available.
If you have somebody that's dedicated to do it, okay, you take the 99% of the, let me give it 10% of the people would be able to work into it. 90% of the people who shoot at 100 yards or more very rarely have a place where they can shoot past 400 yards.
True. But I'm saying, listen, there's X-Ring. He's a YouTuber. He's got videos out there. He'll walk you through what you need to do to be able to hit 1,000 yards. And I guarantee you watch that video and you take a decent scope that you can dial with, guys will be able to do it,
Yeah, but you're not spending $300 on a scope or $500 on a scope that you can guarantee is going to hold that, because that's why you guys spend $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 on an F class scope.
I've
Okay.
never spent that much money on an F class scope.
Well, what'd you spend for the Golden Eagle?
I think they're 1,200. I think I
Okay.
paid about 1,000. I don't know what they are new.
Yeah. Okay.
I bought mine used too, so
right. But I'm just saying that a new Golden Eagle, if I remember right, is about $2,000. Okay.
yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the cheapest. So that is one of the cheapest. Was it Athlon or I think Athlon? There are a couple others that do have a golden or an F class option that's cheaper. Right. That's in the which you could easily take to 1,000 yards and spend $500. Now, are you going to use it to try to win about $1,500 for $1,600 for
you're just gonna lose. You know, you're Mirage is really what it comes to with optic quality at a $1,000. You know, the lower the dollar. I mean, I'm not. It's not a rule in stone, but it's just one of those general rules of thumb that basically I'm gonna say it that way. That generally speaking, the lower the dollar amount for the scope, the more you may fight with Mirage
and other optical issues.
Yeah, you know, there's other things such as mechanical quality, the accuracy of the turrets, you know, and stuff like that. You know, is one click actually an 8th MOA? I mean, that's what I'm used to is 8th MOA clicks for those kind of scopes. But is it truly 8? You know, is it not just, you know, a tiny little bit? A tiny little bit doesn't sound like a lot, but when you go and throw 5, 6, 7, 10 clicks on, you know, that little extra difference is multiplied by 10 times if you went 10 clicks. And so that's how much, if it's not true, then whatever it's off by times 10 is how far off you're going to be from where you should be.
Right.
Yeah. We're also talking F class at this point, and there's a difference between being able to just, you know, take 20 shots and put 2 rounds on a 2 MOA target and being able to shoot an F class match, right? They're
yeah.
You know, we're talking a whole different category, and what
I will say, I want to chip in one thing since we're on the subject of speaking of shooting at $1,000, that I would not. I mean, 8th MOA is the way to go on the clicks for that.
I mean, seriously, if you're gonna do it, don't even. Oh, I'm muted.
No, you're not.
Now you are. Okay.
Anyway. Seriously, if you're gonna dive into the hoptics, you're gonna dive into shooting. Don't go MOA, go mil.
Period. Well, it depends. If you're shooting F class, you want MOA, but if you're gonna shoot PRS, you want mil.
It's a smaller measurement. An 8th MOA is easier to get a smaller click and get so you're more fine tuning. Because remember, it as you go out farther, that distance, every one of those clicks is that much wider, so you want more control.
0.1. So the mil scopes are generally speaking, most of them are 0.1 mil clicks. 0.1 mil is a bigger click than a quarter, like your average deer hunting scope. A quarter inch, you know, a quarter MOA, or some scopes say quarter inch because it's based on 100 yards, but yes, 0.1 is going to give you
a mil is 0.3. Call it 0.33. Okay.
Yeah, 0.33 inches. You know, so if you have your rifle drilling the center out of the bullseye, and you at 100 yards, and you put one click on the scope, it should move that bullet by 0.33 inches.
Right. Yeah.
A quarter MOA or quarter inch scope is only going to move it 0.25. So it's less movement per click, and at greater distances, you know, that you know, you need that finer adjustment. So, but I will say though that the mill scopes have come around now where I'm seeing more of those that are offering 0.05 mil clicks,
Okay.
half mil clicks, or half a tenth, you know.
Right.
And that's getting so that's taken 0.33, cutting it in half. So now it's less than a quarter, but it's still greater than an eighth.
And the other thing is that mill works in tens. Okay,
Right.
Yeah.
everything in mill it works in tens. So
Which means it's a metric system, which means screw it.
well, yeah, but I mean, I can
Hey.
convert yards are easy enough to work with.
There's only one country that's been to the moon, baby, and we don't use the friggin' metric system. So
Okay, then you're not allowed to
They
shoot
did.
9 mil no more, Mike.
I don't
They-
shoot 9 mil.
They
I shoot
use
0.356.
I just look at it
No.
like
Um,
for PRS and that kind of stuff, for unknown distance, you know, mill is easier. Okay.
So
and that's the point I wanted to make and use you guys to make it. So, because there has been a resurgence of, oh, you got to have mill, you got to have mill, you got to have mill because it's blah, 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 blah.
yes.
No.
Now there's one more thing to add that's important to add to this.
Yes.
I said PRS, you know, mill is the language in PRS, but in PRS, you're going to use first focal plane scopes.
Right.
Right.
In F class
You're
or
using-
bench rest, you're going to use second focal plane with the MOA system. So total opposite.
Question. Why second focal plane?
Your
Because
dots smaller at
Yes.
a given distance.
you're not zooming in on the reticle, which covers more of the target.
Okay. I just want to know.
So with second focal
I know the
plane,
advantages and disadvantages of first focal, second focal.
So with first focal plane, as you increase the magnification, that image that you see in your scope is being brought into you closer. You're cutting down the field of view and you're bringing in the center of that view closer to you, but you're also doing the same thing with the reticle. The same amount, you're literally magnifying your reticle by however much you increased it by. So
Right.
now it's that much. Now your reticle is that much thicker. You know, the lines, the dots, everything, and it starts to cover the target. With second focal plane, it's always the same size. So actually, with a second focal plane, as you zoom in, technically, the relationship of the reticle to the target is becoming finer the further you zoom in.
Right.
It's covering less of the target the more you zoom in, opposite of what happens with first focal plane. So it allows you to aim more precisely on the target since you're not covering as much of it with your reticle.
Yeah.
It's like having a thick duplex versus a fine duplex.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the
I wanted to
takeaway I
take-
would give.
Yeah.
This is what I would say. If you're going to shoot a shooting sport, find out what they're using, emulate them as far as
And
whether
why they're
using
using
MOA or mill, right?
Yeah.
And if you're hunting and you're shooting under 400 yards,
Second focal plane.
yeah, and it really doesn't. As far as accuracy, you're not, whether you're using mill or MOA, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to shoot PRS or hunting where I'm shooting unknown distances that's constantly changing all the time, I want first focal plane
Okay.
because that allows me to dial in. And if I need to use a little holdover where I'm using my reticle or hold off, you know, for wind, you know, then the markings in my reticle are always within calibration. They're always accurate. So if I want to dial the elevation, but I don't want to dial for the wind, I can hold for the wind, and I can say, well, I got to hold 3 marks to the left, you know. And no matter what the magnification is at, that is going to be accurate no matter what. It's because the reticle is always true to the target. The relationship of those markings to, you know, it's like going back to what Ken was talking about with measuring, using the reticle to determine distance. Okay, so let's say, you know, you see a deer. Let's just whatever. Okay, and you zoom in on that deer so where you can easily use the markings in the scope to measure the height or the length of the deer. You could say, well, he goes from, you know, 0.3 mils left to 0.3 mils right. Well, that's a total of 0.6 mils long, you know, and it don't matter what magnification you're at, it that you can zoom in, zoom out, and it's always he's going to be within those marks. It just gets bigger and smaller. But with a second focal plane, where you're not zooming in on the reticle, you'll notice that as you zoom in on the deer, he's getting bigger on the markings in the reticle. And you zoom out, now he's getting smaller because you're zooming in on the image, but not on the reticle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Personally, if I'm building a new hunting rifle, I'm going to go mill and I'm going to go first focal plane.
Yeah, same here. Hunting, I'd go first.
Prairie dogs, I shoot first focal plane. We used to use second.
The downside to the first focal plane is they don't offer as high magnification as second focal plane.
They're getting
yeah.
I mean,
So
we're in the 40s now and such. But the cost, because of the location of where the erector lens goes and for the zoom is in a different place than it is on a second focal plane.
Mm-hmm.
Second focal plane is easier to produce to get a higher zoom on than a first.
Yeah.
Because
that etching of the reticle has to be so much more perfect on the first focal plane because you're zooming in on those imperfections as you're cranking up the magnification.
They got, they're set up with lasers now to do all that, but the mechanical part of moving that tube back and forth with the reticle is where you run into problems, because that mechanical part, where on a second focal plane, that reticle is fixed. It isn't being magnified at all. It's just, it just sits down and you can move the tube, the erector back and forth on it, and it's not going to affect the location or any part of the reticle. So there it's just more money to make a first focal plane scope. That's all.
Of course, they have combo ones now that do basically use the best of both worlds.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember what they're called, but yeah, they have the
That's your homework for next week.
First focal plane. I won't do my homework.
I know.
They
do have them though.
They had scopes that had mill reticles and MOA adjustments. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So you talk about being really screwed up is you would measure the mills.
That's what happens when you let engineers drink.
Right. Yeah. They've done a lot of things like that. They have combination scopes now, though, that are first focal plane and second focal plane.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And most of those are in the lower magnification range, up 10, 15, and that kind of stuff. So
yeah. And they're improving all the time. Frankly, honestly, if I'm looking at getting a new scope for hunting, it's going to be an MOA, and it's going to be a second focal plane, unless I start prairie dog hunting, and I'm looking at that, because whitetails, probably longest shot's going to be at best 400 yards on a miraculous day.
For a whitetail scope, the original was a 3 to 9. Okay.
The original was a 4-power.
But I mean, 3 to 9 is a variable. Okay.
Yeah.
We're now at the point now we can get a good, honest 1 to 10. Okay.
That's going to be on my lever gun. Is it 1 to 8 or 1 to 10?
And which is all you need. You don't need anything more than 10 power on a hunting gun. Really, you don't.
Not for where I'm at, no. Because the woods, the place I'm going to be hunting, honestly, if the deer keep doing what they keep doing, my shot's going to be like 40 yards.
Right. You know, and
Yeah, my recommendation for like a lever gun would be an LPVO.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
yeah,
Yeah, and so this year I'm planning on hunting. This year I've managed to find a spot to hunt. I'm going to be running a 5 to 25, and I'm just going to leave it on 5. And that's because I'm not going to buy a new scope to put on the gun that I already have
No,
5 to 25.
That
on.
makes sense. So, for Vanessa, that is a loaded question. So Vanessa says, so which scope would you buy for elk hunting?
well, that's pretty simple.
Not really.
Oh,
Where are you
sure.
hunting?
Yeah. I mean, you know, first off, you're hunting out west. You're not hunting.
Not necessarily.
Well, yeah, you can hunt Kentucky. You can hunt,
Michigan.
you know, Michigan or that. But most people look at hunting out west for elk. That's
Yep.
the main, you know, and
So the
3 to
10 got's perfect. That 5 to 25.
I would sit down, I would sit with a 3 to 15, and that would put me all within the most comfortable range that I am with shooting an elk, which is 500 yards.
Yeah.
So I would disagree with you on the 3 to 15, not because 15 isn't strong enough. I would prefer to have my top end of the range to be about halfway between where I want my power factor at, right? So why I would go with a 5 to 25 over like a 3 to 15 is I'm probably going to be shooting somewhere between 12 and 15. It's where my power factor is likely to be, right? Without knowing given conditions, exact distance, all of that, I'm going to assume I'm shooting between 12 and 15 on my power factor. I don't want to be at the top end of my power factor because you tend to get distortion in your image when you're close to the top end of your power.
I would agree all to the point you guys sit down and say, I'm going to shoot this, because how many have gone elk hunting? Me. I will tell you, when you're out there and you are hiking and walking and following
makes a difference.
My rifle, which weighed all of 9 pounds with a 3 to 9 scope on it, okay, was heavy.
Mhm.
All right. And you're climbing rock, you know, rocks and everything else, and brush and everything else in your way. And 400 yards is a long shot, but a 3 to 9 scope. But the weight now with a 3 to 15 is fine. Wouldn't be much over 12 power is what I would use. And knowing that I had to walk, yeah, I want to get my rifle down into the 8-pound class and be prepared to shoot it, you know, with a good you know, 7 mag, 300 mag, 338 mag, somewhere in that area, and be very proficient with it. And that all depends upon the out west where I'm hunting. If I was hunting I would be saying I want the 300 or the 338, because there's these little things called grizzly bears around there that have been getting more and more populous, and having a nice stopping rifle is pretty good. New Mexico was where I hunted.
The hell with it. Just do a howitzer on the grizzly bear. Screw it.
Yeah. Where I hunted elk in New Mexico, 7 mag was fine, you know. But I had people that were using in camp that 9.3 by 63. One guy was hunting with a 375 H&H. You know, what you know.
I would want a 7 mag with a strong sidearm, such as a 460 or 500.
Well, then you got the weight you're dragging along.
It's true.
that's the problem, and
Those pistols aren't light.
no, none of them are light. So I would sit down and say, it's much easier to carry a lightweight rifle with than a light rifle and a heavy handgun. So yeah, they put a little more weight in the rifle. But 3 to 15, yeah. I mean, you can go on to watch these guys on what is that, Husqvarna or whatever, a Husqvarna or whatever, and they shoot their elk at 1,000 yards with their 4 to 24 power scope or 5 to 25.
Yeah, those guys aren't going to be. No reputable hunting guide is going to let you shoot probably beyond 3, 4 yards. So
I'm sorry, I was coughing. What was that distance you were talking about? No, not gonna let you shoot beyond.
past 500 yards, probably most of your guides,
No.
unless they know you, right? They're not
There
going to let
are-
you take that shot.
Plenty of reputable guides in Colorado that regularly let their people take 600, 700, 800-yard shots, depending on the firearm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust somebody I didn't know at that distance. I'm
I
guessing they probably take them out shooting ahead of time to find out if they're competent enough to make the shot.
Look at a guide is really kind of funny because the first thing he does, he puts you through the most rugged, tough to go through area, and in the first half hour he will figure out that if you're able to do what and make the shots. Okay, some of these guys can do that kind of stuff. I can't anymore, but when I was younger, yeah, okay. But yeah, they put you through the hard part and everything else, and then they'll let you shoot to see what where you're at. They're gonna let you practice first before you go out. Go out to the range and see if you can shoot. And they don't let you shoot off a bench. You're gonna shoot off of your 2 hind feet.
Anyway, last bit on the whole hunting and everything. So, to summarize, as far as optics and stuff go, as far as for elk and stuff, blah blah blah, you're looking at some of its personal preference. I know people that think it's a fantastic idea to hunt whitetail in Wisconsin with a 5 to 25 because they bought it for that specific purpose. Not that that's what they have and that's what they're going to use, because it's not justifiable to go buy a different scope. I know people that use a 6 to 24 for whitetail in Wisconsin, and they're in the woods. So when you're looking for an optic, you need to look at your field of view. You need to know what your field of view is at your minimum magnification. You need to know what your field of view is at your maximum. How much are you losing? How much are you gaining? You need to take that into consideration. But as Ken was saying, and Paul followed up with, you do not want to run your optic at that top 2 or 3 power, because you are going to get distortion. I don't care how much you spent on that optic, you're going to get distortion.
That's why if I want a 24 power, I buy a 30.
Exactly.
Because I'll never use the 30, but I need that 24 to be clear.
Right.
And if I buy a 24 and crank it all the way up to 24, I know it's going to be distorted. If I buy a 30, crank it up to 24, I'm going to see better.
I agree. I agree all the way up until it comes to weight. That's
when you're out hunting, weight's the big difference.
Yeah, but
unless you're elk hunting in Michigan, because if you're elk hunting in Michigan, you're hunting on an elk farm. You're not hunting them in the wild, and you're probably riding to a stand in an ATV. So you can bring the howitzer and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Now, Wisconsin,
I mean, the
if
weight's
you're
kind of a
lucky enough to get
bittersweet
an
thing,
elk
right?
tag, it's not on the farm. So, but the bottom line is, if you're elk hunting out west, you gonna have to have something with variable flexibility, and more than likely, unless you're going to commit to it, and you get a guide that's going to commit to it, you're looking at a 300-400 yard shot. Because most guides that are out elk hunting refuse, because it's not practical for them, refuse to put the effort in to get you close to an elk. Now you can do it because they bow hunt elk all the time. My brother-in-law and his family been going out there for years. The longest shot he's ever taken was 275 yards. But they don't do guided hunts. They have their own, they do their work, they do their effort, and they put the effort into tracking the herd, tracking what they want, and then do the effort to get close. So,
Paul, going on the weight thing, the weight's kind of a bittersweet thing, though, isn't it?
no.
Yes.
Ounces or pounds, pounds or pain. Period.
Depends on the application, what you're doing, what you
Not in
have.
elk hunting.
In elk hunting,
Not in elk hunting.
weight is everything. Okay.
Right, well, right. There's the shot, and
you
then
cannot take your 300 Win Mag hunting. Okay.
There's the hike, and then there's the shot. Weight is your friend when it comes to the shot, but it's not your friend getting to that location.
Not even at the shot.
Right. If you're,
I'm not worried about
if,
weight.
If you are lucky and you're with an outfitter that's got horses, he can get you up, in the morning to the place where he wants you to walk, and you may get onto what they call flat land, okay, which is only a 700 or 800 rise, up and down, is what they call flat land. At least in New Mexico, that's what I ran into.
Or even Colorado, 1,000 yards is considered flatland.
Yeah. But
unless you're east of the Rockies, and that's a different story. But
Vanessa, I have a pair of Pentex binoculars that I bought. Whoa, wow! I got to say, in the early 70s, that have they've been with me forever. I mean, so they're standard 8-power. I'll let the guide hump the scope, okay, the spotting scope. I don't want to do that. 8-power are plenty enough for me to glass with, and let the guide, sit down and spend the time behind a spotting scope, because you would talk about, unless you can put out what's a set of Swarovski binocular type spotting scopes. They're about $8,000-$10,000 now.
I think, for their high end stuff, you're starting at probably 8-10, and they go up from there. But I know you don't have to necessarily, you can still get Swarovski and not necessarily.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the binocular ones, where you can sit down. You sit down, look all day.
You're talking about like the ones like Eric Cortina used?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking those are like 20 to 25.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I know
unless you have a pair of those where you can look through, one eye gets to you after a while because you do a lot of glassing, and binoculars are nice because you can sit down and look and everything else. A guide can sit down and look through a spotting scope. He's used to it. I'm sorry, but I was at, 5, 6, I think it was about 5,000 feet where I was hunting, and I was a little winded. Here I'm with a guide that's older than I am, was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and he's walking up the hill, and come on, let's get going. These guys, that's what they do for a living. So, health reasons, I understand that, Vanessa. But
also, you can find guides that specialize in helping those that are not physically able to walk 10 miles up and down hills for half a day to get into a spot to be able to sit and hunt, right? There are places and stuff like that, and they'll get you out on a quad, and where and they'll get you in say within a half mile of where you're going to sit and hunt with motorized and stuff like that. Or if depending on how it's set up, being disabled and riding horseback is a lot harder than being disabled and riding a quad. But they also could possibly helicopter you in. There are guides that do specialize in getting people in wheelchairs out on the side of a mountain to be able to hunt. You have to find the right guide. And as far as what equipment you should use, I would say take nothing in what we've said on this thing as other than a basic guide. Reach out to actual guides and say, hey, I'm looking to build an elk hunting gun. What should I do? Don't just don't just reach out to one. Reach out to 10. Well, ask them all, because then you're going to get a consensus, and you're going to probably less likely have a problem with what you buy.
Every guide that I've ever used had a list of things to bring, and
they're not suggestions or requirements.
Yeah, and they were very, very specific, and they would listen to them, because it's stuff. None of it was cheap, but boy, it sure helped for all the other things that you ended up doing in hunting. I learned from them that hey, bring a sleeping bag if you're hunting in upper Wisconsin and that during the in winter time or late fall. Bring a sleeping bag with an old one. That way you can put your legs in that inside the sleeping bag. You can stay warm in a blind. Geez, I mean, these guys, they were smart. They've learned their lesson, because they do it, for 4 months out of the year. They're bringing people up. Some of them are, doing varmint hunts and everything else, and that they're hunting from end of August, and they stop in February. They know what's going on.
Also, you can, if you're not sure what you want, maybe you want to do an elk hunt for the first time. You're only ever going to do it once. Find a guide that provides a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays,
there are guys out there that literally, I don't know about Colorado, but I know there are out west. There are elk guides where literally you show up.
Yeah.
They'll tell you what clothes to bring. They'll make sure you got,
There are guides out there, you tell them your sizes. They will ask you, okay, in this particular line of clothing, what size do you wear? What brand is it? And it's included in the hunt. You show up, and they have everything you need. Complete outfitter. So, obviously, you're talking probably 25 to 50,000 at least. So, anyway, we could go on about this for the rest of the night, and then probably tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So I have to put a stop to it somewhere. So we're putting that stop right here. And we're going to talk about Patriot Patch Company. Look, it's upside down. But it's still magically delicious. Anyway, Patriot Patch Company. Every month, a patch and a vinyl sticker. And the drawing that's original. It's always fun to take Ryan's original drawing. Ryan Cross is the one that does the designing. And then you take your patch and you compare them and see if there's any differences or not. So that's always fun to do. It's cool to see, obviously a lot of them, there's themes for the months. February is Valentine's, March is St. Patrick's Day, April is usually Easter. May is always my favorite month because May is always relating to Memorial Day. And they don't disappoint. So, night, Billy. And Vanessa, you didn't get us off track. So, one of the hard and fast rules about this show is there's no hard and fast rules. Okay. If a topic comes up, we'll talk about it. I don't got a problem with that. And as we go forward, that's going to expand even more. We're not going to start out the show specifically related to reloading all the time. Like originally, we were going to talk about Manus and their dry firing stuff, but got the question and decided to run with it because it's a good question to answer. So, but we will have a show the first week of June. That's what we're talking about. Dry firing practice and the tools to help it with. So there really isn't an off topic for this show. So don't think that you got us off track or anything like that. But, we started going down a slide that I'm not kidding. Between the six of us here, we could talk about this topic easily from now straight to Friday. Okay?
Yeah.
We all have experiences. We all have different knowledge. We all have different things. Hell, I want to go back to the rifles. Because I'm looking at the prices of the CVAs, and the CVAs are the next level up, not the Axis and the American Gen 2s. They're that next level up. CVAs, I'd put in the same level as the Tikkas. And I'm still taking a Tikka over a CVA. Because I can get a woodstock Tikka for the same price as the plastic stock CVAs. Anyway. But I mean, that's the thing, is we can go on and on and on about all these different things. We all have different experiences, backgrounds. Nick's probably sitting there going, you guys are freaking crack whores because I'm just going to take my 1903 and smoke y'all. So.
Well, I don't know how you guess that, Mike, because I just bought one on an auction the other day. So that's kind of funny.
Is it a Pedersen?
No, it's not a Pedersen.
Then I win.
Well, Dad's got a Pedersen one, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, well, that's right. He's got one that doesn't have the barrel chopped down 1/4 of an inch, so he wins. Flintlock could be fun, but maintaining flint's a pain in the ass. I'll take a percussion cap every day of the week. So, actually, if you look over my shoulder, I do have a smoke pole back there somewhere. So, amongst the other shit.
Oh, well, with Flintlock, you got to worry about your weather outside more than you do like percussion. Percussion will have better success than like rain.
Another topic down a rabbit hole. Not the rabbit hole, because we're not talking about rabbit hole precision. Ad read right there. I'm going to start charging you for those, by the way. Justin's like, get bent.
Better owe you and beat you out of it.
Anyway, no, other than porn, no topics off limits for this show. So, if it has any way to tie into the firearms and reloading community, happy to talk about it. If it's health related, happy to talk about it. So the conversation's been going about Vanessa and her worrying about being able to elk hunt. Okay. Chris Sharp, who does the editing for the show occasionally, has helped host. Both he and his wife Stacy have gone on hunts. I don't know if they were elk or not, but they've gone on hunts through an organization that specific function is to help veterans who may not necessarily be in the best physical shape go hunting. There's plenty of them out there. So that's why I asked for her email, Because now Vanessa's been a loyal listener to the show for many, many years. And now I have a chance to give back. So I'm going to make sure I do whatever I can to help her get an elk hunt. So if you have any connections, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com or 608-467-0308. So,
And I'd just like to say one thing about to Vanessa. If at all possible, look into South Africa for a hunt before you go elk hunting, dollar-wise. Okay?
well, that's the advantage of these veteran organizations. There isn't a cost when you get to the right organizations, up to and including airline. So
I'm just saying, you get an elk, you get one elk. I can get to Africa and
yeah, but you can't bring them back now. So what's the point?
what do you mean I can't bring them back?
You can't bring the meat back.
No, you can't bring the meat back.
That's what
No,
she wants. She wants elk meat.
You're going to eat it while
It's
you're
really
there.
hard to bring the trophies back now too.
Well, the trophies can still come back.
Right, but it's hard and expensive.
Well, I mean, how many people have impala and zebra and wildebeest and everything.
It's all about the experience.
Right. And
But see, this kind of answers your question.
That's what hunting is. It's about the experience.
But that kind of answers your question on South Africa. Hunt and fish for food only. So if she can't bring it back,
Now-
she's like me. I'm never going to go on an Australian hunt or African hunt, or an Australian for that matter, because I can't bring the meat back. If I'm going hunting, with the exception of
Mike
pest
on that,
environment,
in that that's kind of a detractor for me. Now I will say that the meat doesn't go to waste. It just means
No, it doesn't.
you don't get to keep it, right? And you do get to eat some of it. You get to try it. But yeah, I think that I would prefer to do an American elk hunt personally, because I'd like to bring back the meat, or a moose hunt, or even a bear hunt. That would be all kinds of cool. But I don't have the money to hunt in these hunt big game in the United States, because it is big money.
I'll stick to
And
my tip.
unfortunately, this is leading into one of Mike's points. Pay attention to who your legislators are, because a lot of states have passed laws that have made it really, really hard for somebody like us to be able to go out to Wyoming or some of these other states and elk hunt, because they've made it illegal to hunt on public land with that tag that you managed to pull, because they're protecting the big game
Farms.
and guides, right? So they're saying, well, you can't hunt on this. You must use private land, and so they're protecting them, and it's while it's no skin off my nose, it's restricting hunting, which is a problem.
Yep. Now, all things being equal, would I love to go to Africa? Hell yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely would I love to. Because it's an experience like nothing else. I mean, just going over and seeing would be amazing. So I know where you're coming from, Paul. We all do. But as far as the practicality of the elk hunt versus that, now if we're talking, going for Kodiak in Alaska, I'm going to Africa, thanks. Yes, Alaska's cool, but I'm not spending that much money to go to freaking Alaska to go Kodiak hunting.
Alaska brown bear, I went one time.
Yeah, we were talking about this a long time ago. So
$16,000, guys, and now it's about 3 times that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I go to Africa. I mean, you
Exactly.
spend $8,000 in Africa, and you come back with more game than what the skins, and you've shot more different game and tried different things than you could ever believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So
You could also go down there, stay down there long enough to eat all the meat you shoot.
Well, the things that I look at, and the people that I talk to, that they sit down and say, you got a guide, that's pH, which is white, and then you have a tracker and skinners and everybody else. They all take what's after you get your part that's going to be dinner that night. Okay, that all gets divided up and gets sent to the
it's life changing for them.
Yeah, I mean, they can't hunt there. They can't. They live there and they can't hunt there. Okay,
Nope.
So this is all protein. I knew a guy that went on an elephant hunt, and it cost him $100,000 to shoot an elephant. I mean, you're talking, it's at a village for months.
Mhm.
They were taking it, and he got 2 tusks out of it and a wastebasket, and he sits down and he looks at it and he goes, yeah, okay, I got 2 5-foot tusks and here's my wastebasket over here.
Paul, you're stressing me out with these numbers.
You don't hunt really for game anyways. Just punching holes in
No,
paper.
he's just thinking of what type of rifle he could build for that money.
Yeah.
You know the classic car I could buy with $100,000.
So
Well,
here's
I would like to spend $100,000 on something I can enjoy a little longer than a week.
last thing, and we're signing off. Saw on Twitter today, the question was, you have $8 million to spend, 2 hours to do it in, no houses, no cars, no property.
Ooh.
I'm going to Bass Pro.
Buying
Both
gold.
Guns, ammo, reloading, fishing stuff, camping stuff, for 2 reasons. 1, because frankly, it'd be nice to have all that stuff. But 2, I can turn around and flip it. Well, not the guns and the ammo. Screw you. I'm not selling that stuff.
You said
But I
8
can go buy
million?
like I could go buy like 10 trackers and turn around and sell them. So
I
You
think a
said 8
yacht.
million?
I think a big yacht would be on my list for that kind of money.
Buying
Nope.
gold. You're going to make more money in the long run.
So
There you go.
yeah.
Nobody can tell you what to do on a yacht.
But you got to figure we're going to get $8 million worth of gold in 2 hours.
There's probably ways. I don't know them, but there's probably
I'm
ways.
sure. Nick probably knows.
How would I know?
You weren't paying attention.
Pretty
You
sure
weren't
that
saying anything,
you-
so I just throw you in there.
Pretty sure you can do it on a commodities site.
$8 million of 2 hours.
Mhm.
Even Bass Pro
Sure.
doesn't have
Or
$8 million
$5.
of stuff inside of their store.
I don't need it inside of the store.
No,
I don't have
I
to
need-
take delivery on the boats immediately. And by the way, even in the smallest ones, there's probably at least $5 million if you decided to buy everything. Not counting like the gifts and shit and clothes. So, but anyway, so Vanessa, I now have my mission, and I will keep in touch. Like I said, if anybody out there has any contacts, get a hold of me. And it's not just for Vanessa. It's for Vanessa right now, but it's definitely for 2 reasons. 1, because I can tell people to spend their money donating to these people, donating to these groups that do this thing, and then also, there's more people out in the situations that would like to do this, but no have any clue that this is happening. So anyway, 608-467-0308. Send us a text, leave us a voicemail. If you just want to call me an asshole, you can send me a text, call me an asshole. It works, doesn't it, Ken?
Yeah, I need to just set up my phone so it automatically during.
Yeah,
the
because you haven't
podcast
sent me one in a
speak.
while, so I'm kind of disappointed. So, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to support the show, there's lots of ways to do it. If you're not sure, get a hold of me. We love having show suggestions. We love having questions. We love helping out when we can. And Ken, when are we going shooting? When's the ribbon match in April?
Second Sunday before the end of the month, third Sunday, something like that. I'll get you the date.
Yep. So
there's also Stockville, which is about the same distance. So
yeah, I know. I like Ripon better.
Have you shot Stockville?
First match.
Yeah, he shot Sackville with us.
You haven't shot Stockville, Paul.
Oh, okay.
That was the first match I went to, was Stockville.
By the way, I decided to send you the message on Discord. It was just easier.
Lazy. Anyway, so you can head over to firearmsradio.net/category/podcast/reloading-2, and you can click on one of the two cool buttons. There's two of them on. There's a red one and a black one. And if you hit the red one, it's the support button, which currently takes you to Patreon because I don't have a replacement for it. I tried looking into Square, and Square's a bunch of hose bags. In my personal opinion, take your slander lawsuits and roll them up tight, shove them up your. Patreon's not much better, but that's the evil I'm dealing with. And as you know, sometimes it's better the evil you know than the evil you don't. If you want a cool shirt like Nick's wearing there, click on the black merch button. Takes you over to Southern Gals Crafts. You can order up a sweet shirt like that. Hey, Nick, is that the anatomy of a pew on the back?
Yes, it is.
Will you show it off, please? Boom. Of course, your camera. Oh, there we go. All right. Your camera just focused in right at the end.
Of course it did.
Anyway, so we got the shirts. We've got tumblers like this. There's 3 different styles of these tumblers: the extruded powder, the brass, and the American flag. And the American flag is just absolutely the coolest of the 3. You can get can koozies. For those of you who don't know what a koozie is, that's that little foamy thing you put your beer can in so that your second beer stays cold while you're drinking your first. Notice I did not say you put it on the first beer. If you have to put it on the first beer, you're drinking too slow. We also have hoodies. We can also actually get sweatshirts without the hoods, special request. And they've shipped to Iceland. The Con US is not a problem, kids. Merchandise is affordable. If you also want to make fun of the ATF, we can help you out with that. You got 2. Defund the ATF and ATF 1-star would not. So, the person that does this for us has had some life changes, and so we kind of put off changing out the product for now. So, but they also do personalized orders. So if you got something you're looking for, reach out to them through the website. So, like I said, head over to our page, click on the black merch button. It gets you there. Red button gets you to Patreon. You can also, if you want to be a Patch the Month Club member and you don't want to give the money to Patreon, you can do it through YouTube for now. You can do it through Rumble, PayPal, Venmo. Heck, you can even send it to me in Zelle. I don't care. So Vanessa is saying that she makes leather can holder coasters, paper coffee cup leather sleeves, Bic lighter cases, and leather tripod stools. So, Vanessa, send me your contact link for that on how they get a hold of you and see the merch, and we'll put it in the show notes. So, there also seems to be this guy that's on this podcast now that makes some sort of fancy thingamabob. I don't know. Ken, have you heard about this thingamabob?
You talking about the over obsessive tool that measures things like primer seating depth
That's
and
it.
stuff like that, and case rim thickness and all that stuff?
Yeah, that's it. Oh, that's that bench addict guy. Justin,
Yeah, rabbitholeprecision.com.
give us the elevator. Give us the elevator spiel on your awesome tool. Seriously, we're giving him crap. It's an actual fantastic tool, and if you are serious about hand loading, you freaking need this. All right, gang?
How's yours working out for you, Paul?
Yep.
So yes, we still make these. They're still on the market. I've still got plenty in stock. So rabbitholeprecision.com. You can go and check them all out. Mike, maybe you could throw a link on there. Either way, it's easy enough to type in. Remember, go check out the store and
yeah, you're in the list of show notes now. So if anybody looks at the show notes for the last 3 or 4 shows, you're in there.
There's a chart in there to tell you what size plates you need for what size cartridge you want to load. They're all in alphabetical letters, so you got A plates, B, C, D, E. Going through a bunch of different size casings that are all basically the plates are relative to bolt face size, and that's how that works. So your standard rifle bolt for like a 308, it's gonna be the same plate for a 30-06 or 30 Creedmoor. There's a ton of them. You get into your PRCs, it's all the Magnum size, so now your D plates, and that same plate that works for the PRCs also works for the SAWMs and the short action ultra mag, or the Winchester short mag, or there's a ton of them. But kind of it worked out well doing it the way that I did, where it's just comes down to what size bolt face you have, and it covers a large range of cartridges per family of plate size. So if anybody ever has any questions, they should feel free to reach out. The email is info@rhprecision.net. That email is listed on the website for product support, questions. So I encourage anyone that's serious to look into it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I give him crap about it because I'm not to that point of hand loading. At some point in time, my goal at some point in time is to be to that point. Okay. But but it's it's a tool that honestly I'm surprised nobody ever made before, because it just does that much that people should have been using it. So
yeah, I agree. I tried really, really hard. I mean, I really went out of my way digging deep trying to find one.
Yeah, and I remember when you were kicking around the idea originally.
I was mad. I didn't want to make one. I wanted to buy one.
You were pretty pissed about that.
Yeah.
Well, there were tools on the market that you were looking at, but they just weren't that accurate.
There was nothing that would do rim thickness for
there wasn't anything out there.
That was the one thing, but I mean, measuring primers and all that other kind of stuff, that was all out there, but you were just that was being able to combine everything that you've done with this one tool.
Yeah.
People don't understand that it's just not a one-trick pony.
I mean, it's not. It's a lot of money for a tool. I mean, we can all agree with that.
It isn't, considering what you're doing.
No, it's not. It's not a lot of money. When you look at what it does and what you can do with it, it's actually a bargain.
Yes, but when you look at how many different measurements it can do, it's actually cheap, because you look at other tools on the market that allow you to measure things, and most of them cover 1 or 2 things, and then you want to measure something else, so you got to buy a whole nother tool.
And you're talking $100, $150, $200 for one tool, and you can buy this one with a complete setup for $500, and you sitting down, you're going, oh wow, okay, I have I can do so many different things with it, and it's not just limited to what's happening, because the mind that went in to do this is still working on additions to this.
I'll be giving him credit for having a mind that's a world of.
Yeah, I
Well,
know.
and those
Just because you're jealous, Mike.
those number of
I lost my
measurements
mind years ago. Don't miss it.
those number of measurements that it's currently able to do will double hopefully this year, with trying to get the new accessories for it. Just different attachments that can be bought for doing extra measurements. So without giving out too much on that,
It's the Bobcat of the reloading world.
it is the ultimate, bench rest shooter's tool. And I say, the same goes for F class, but whatever. I mean, we're pretty much, I look at F class as belly bench rest. Some people might get mad at me for saying that. That's all right. But I mean,
You don't reload on the range in F class.
Well, right. Is never minding that part of it. As far as just the shooting, F class and bench rest are extremely similar in the rifles, the equipment used. And now I'm comparing it against heavy bench rest, not all. But can't compare it against Sporter, But
Well,
anyway,
they have found that they still need a heavy bullet to go out at 600 yards. You're not doing it with a 87 grain flat base bullet at 600 yards with their bench rest. And there are things that F class is 22 pounds.
You know what, Mike? I got a little. I'm gonna leak something for you here.
That's what she said.
I haven't had
that she wasn't on her antibiotic long enough, and I already had.
Actually, I don't have to open this. I already have one open. Here it is. So I have not added this yet, but this is the
That's
new.
not the camera automatically adjusted.
It does, but I have the automatic thing turned off right now. So, anyways, this is the new one of the new gauges that'll be getting added to the site. This one here, so you have the option to change the resolution. I've had a lot of people complain like they don't like that fourth decimal point. So they only want to measure to a thou or a thou and a half. They don't want to measure to, a tenth of a thou or 1/10,000th. This gauge actually gives you the option of going from half tenths to tenths to, I think, half thou. You have three resolutions you can choose from. But one of the benefits of this is that if you want to invert the tool upside down, and I know some people have seen this on some of the YouTube videos out there where there's some gauges out there that people flip them upside down and then they can rotate the faceplate. Whoops, wrong way. We can go that way. So, now if you want to measure your primers, you can just stick it right on there. Your numbers are upright, so you're not reading upside down. And when you want to flip it around the other way, just spin the screen around. So, also it does serve as a go, no go. You can see the little bar graph that goes around the edge of the screen. See, switching back and forth right there. So you can kind of use that as like a go, no go. I have not added them yet.
I do not have that because I would literally just sit there and push it all day long and see what I could get for different readings. I wouldn't actually ever get anything productive done with it. I just play with it like that. Bing, bing,
Well,
bing.
The thing is that we can set you up. He can set you up with where there's a foot pedal and a connection to your computer where you can put it right into Excel and you can see or sheets and have it go.
Yep.
You know, take all
It
your.
is, it is literally plug and play. You don't need any software. You don't need any special instructions. I've had people, it is not many, but I have had, I don't know, maybe two people, yeah, whatever.
Sometime in the near future, you're going to have an entire episode dedicated to that.
Yeah,
So plan
yeah.
for it.
It's one of those things that you literally just plug it into your computer, open Microsoft Excel, and just start using it. There's like no instructions really needed. It's literally plug and play.
Hey, Justin, quick question. How much does that compare to price to the other one that you were using before? Is it about the same, cheaper, more expensive?
Oh, the Accuracy one?
Yeah.
It is more expensive than the Accuracy one. The Accuracy one is good for measuring seated primer depth, primer pocket depth. Technically, you may be able to use it for measuring primer height, but it's going to be a little it's not the most ideal for trying to measure primers on a granite surface. I know most people just use calipers. The problem with calipers is that you can't get all three anvil legs to sit on the jaw of calipers. So you're only going to get like 2.5, and so if you really want a true measurement of your primer height, the best way to do it is on a granite surface where the anvil legs are sitting against the anvil, the granite surface. And then, you have a gauge that's zeroed to the granite and then measuring to the top surface.
I'm gonna leave my, we need to talk about this. I'm not gonna ask my question because it's a rabbit hole.
Yep. Hold on to that question. I'm serious.
But
So,
it's about double the cost, but three times the amount of usage.
so it's not a fair comparison then.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
there's
So-
so many other things that it does.
Yeah. So next week we are going to have Brian from Hunters HD Gold.
Ooh.
Sorry, Nick, you're going to miss that. I don't know.
It's all right.
Joining a shooting range you thought was important or something. Getting your dad.
Well,
down
I'm
there.
not joining. Dad's
Oh,
joining.
I said getting your dad down there. You thought that was important or something. Or I don't know. But anyway, so Brian from Hunters HD Gold's going to be on talking about shooting glasses. Yeah, like those ones on Ken's face. Anybody who's shot any sort of state or national level competition in the last 5 years, you've probably seen the name. So,
Chance.
but
Also, another side note here, hopefully by the time that Brian is on the show, you will be able to buy your Hunters HD Gold at retmarkfirearms.com.
so the site's completely live now, Ken?
Not completely right now. If you've heard me typing during this episode, I've been fighting with the software to get the correct Hunters HD Gold colored frames to match the links and stuff like that.
Okay.
The site should be live by next Tuesday as far as being able to take orders.
Sounds good.
Maybe as early as tomorrow.
Nice. You were getting sleepy. By the way, Ken, bad news. They shit the bed again tonight, so Red Wing season over. Not surprised, but yeah. Shut up, you damn Blackhawks fan.
Don't look at me. I don't do any
You
of
He
that.
doesn't give a shit.
So, anyway, Paul, I am eternally grateful for you being able to join us this evening. As I said before, anytime you're feeling up to it, join us.
Good
It was a
Yeah.
great night for you to join, Paul.
Yeah, I was really hoping you would be able to, so I'm grateful for that. As far as if he has any more questions, I will reach out to you guys if he has any more questions. I haven't got any more responses from him, so like I said, he's at work and he's in an area where he doesn't really get cell reception, so I'm actually amazed that he actually was able to answer when he did. So it's kind of funny. I was talking about I was talking earlier when your kids were on about making this a shorter show, and yeah, no, that didn't happen. So, but we covered a heck of a lot of awesome stuff tonight. So, make sure you check it out. On that note, you rare shiny.
Jump on the Mill Search short bus.
Teach them to shoot and reload when they're young.
Go for the gold.
And I got to tell you, Grandpa said, don't listen to your mama. Violence does solve problems.
Take somebody to the range with you.
Pay attention to what's going on across the United States within the next 2 weeks. You're going to have a lot of local and state elections. You might have some primaries in certain areas too, to help pick Congress idiots this fall. Right now, we have a problem in this country. Regardless of what you think, the man in the White House, he's in the White House. However, the way this government's supposed to work is the Supreme Court is supposed to keep a check on the other two. Congress is supposed to keep a check on the other two, and then the executive branch is supposed to keep a check on the other two. Well, because Congress is a bunch of chicken shit and dumbasses, it's not happening the way it's supposed to. So what we need to do is we need to get the useless life sucks out of Congress. Frankly, I would like to fire every single last one of them. Not going to happen, but we need to start, okay? I don't care what letter you perpetrate, whatever, to put behind your name. You're all useless. Because if you align yourself with the Republican Party hardcore or you align yourself with the Democrat Party hardcore, you're part of the problem. They are no longer separate. They are two sides of the same damn coin. It's just a matter of how they're going to screw the American public. Okay? If you think somehow the Democrats are better than the Republicans, you're not paying attention, or you're watching the wrong thing. If you think the Republicans are somehow better than the Democrats, and this is specifically national level, if you think somehow the Republicans are better than the Democrats, you're not paying attention. They both suck. We need a third party. It's not going to happen. We also need term limits for Congress. That's not going to happen anytime in the near future. So it's up to us, the American people, to get off your carcass and do what you're supposed to do. If you want to know what happens when you don't, go ask the citizens of Virginia. They found out the hard way. Elections have consequences. There are plenty of good Second Amendment organizations out there, sketchy ones. Pay attention to who you're sending your money to. Pay attention to what they're doing. And if you run across anybody that say that they're with Moms and Man Safety, ask them the last time they did a safety class on firearms. I'm pretty sure you'll know what the answer is on that one, but they don't demand safety; they demand banning, like everybody else in the anti-gun industry. Just because you have a D behind your name or you have an R behind your name doesn't mean you are automatically for or against the Second Amendment. Because there are still some blue blood Democrats out there that support the Second Amendment as it was written. There are a lot of Republicans out there that don't support the Second, and they should. The bottom line is, if we don't have the Second Amendment, you can kiss the rest of them goodbye. Period. Yes, I ranted. Yes, I may irritate some people. I don't really care. If it motivates you to actually start paying attention to politics again and quit being apathetic, I've done my job. Now, the most important thing that we say every week, and it's serious, every week. It's not bullshit. It's not just something to say. Mental health is huge. It's important. If you're struggling, get help. I guarantee you, there's at least one person walking the face of the planet that will miss you if you decide to start a shotgun. Okay? At least one. There's probably more, you just don't realize it because you're. So encumbered with your own issues that you're not seeing it, and you don't know how to reach out and get help, or you don't want to because somebody told you, oh, that's weakness. Oh, you're blah, blah, blah. It is a lot more courageous to step up and realize you need help and get the help than it is to hide in the shadows and eventually end it. Suicide is not courageous. It is chicken shit. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. I'm just one of the few people that will actually say it. 988-1-800-273-8255 if you're in crisis. Otherwise, there's lots of great resources. If you work for any sort of business other than like a mom and pop, any sort of business that has their own insurance program, their insurance plans, they're more than likely going to have an EAP program, which is an employee assistance program. In those employee assistance programs, there is usually funding to help with mental health issues, grief counseling, or just overall to help you get the help you need. Walk the Talk America is a great resource. They have a lot of anonymous. They have a couple of anonymous questionnaires you can fill out, and kind of, if you think you're crazy or, you know, so on and so forth, you can fill those out, and it'll kind of, okay, so maybe you're not as bad as you thought you were, or so on and so forth. And they have a lot of resources they can direct you to get the correct help. So when I say we want you here, we need you here, freaking serious. It's not a statement of bull crap. It's not something to just say. I'm serious. We do want you here, and we do need you here. And when Ken says take somebody shooting, and all the rest of the taglines we do, yeah, there's some fun. But the bottom line is, if you want shooting sports to survive, if you want the ability to reload to survive, we got to fight for it. And the best way to fight for it is get more people involved. If you're a hunter, take somebody hunting. Even if it means showing them your secret spot where your monster buck is. For every one new hunter that comes in, we're losing 3. Even if you don't hunt anymore, buy a license. Because that money goes to good causes. So right now in Wisconsin, we're fighting for the legislature to keep the stewardship fund. I don't remember, it's something Knowles, where they actually take money and they set it aside to buy public access land.
Mike, I got to jump off real quick. I got 2 little ones. I got to get in bed.
Take care.
Looks like Mike froze.
Yeah, I see that. All right. Good night, everybody. See you next
Good
week.
night, Justin.
Yep.
And Mike is
Frozen,
in the
yeah.
middle of.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, everybody, thank you all for joining us tonight. Everybody have a good one. And next week, we'll see everybody, and maybe the week after that, we'll be seeing some people better because Hunter HG Gold is going to be on. So, thank you, people.
Yep.
Have a good one.
See ya.
Bye.